Hi, everybody. I'm Diane Mulligan. I am a teacher, writer, and artist from Central Massachusetts. And in this video, I'm bringing you another creative coffee break. Actually, I'm having tea. Whatever your cozy beverage is, go grab a cup and let's make some art together. So, if you haven't seen any of the videos in this series before, the idea is art making projects that you can do in about 30 minutes or less. And there's no YouTube trickery here. Everything you see me do is real time. The whole project, start to finish, is 30 minutes or less. And there's no like drying time for watercolor. It's just, we only have a half hour. Let's make some art. So in today's video, we are going to do some more collage. And I did do a collage video before. I'll put the link in the description box. In today's collage, I happened to get some lovely antique sheet music at a thrift store. And these are from the 1920s. I think 1926. See the back there? They're so vintage and awesome. I love using sheet music in collages, and you can often find cheap sheet music at yard sales or antique stores. Or you can always just print some off the internet, just get some royalty-free music and go ahead and print that out. And I just like the patterns that it can make behind our artwork. It's fun to incorporate with color, to do some drawing. So today I'm going to be collaging using my sheet music. I'm going to be working in my little sketchbook where I make collages and experiments. And so the only other supplies that I need, I've got my glue stick, and I have some crayons here. I have some Neocolor 2 crayons, and these are water-soluble crayons. And I have regular Neocolors, which are not watercolor, or not water soluble rather. And then a little brush and some water. Um, I have been playing around with using this paper with watercolor, and it's super fun. And this antique paper takes the water really well, which is not always true on collage papers. But watercolor needs drying time, and so often if I only have a half hour, I don't actually have time to do watercolor and collage in the same session. So, in keeping with the creative coffee break spirit of things, I'm going to use my crayons. I might add some water at the end to move around those water-soluble crayons, but I'm going to stick with the plan, 30 minutes, no tricks. So, let me switch my camera over and we'll go ahead and get started. So, here we are. Let's get to work. No time to waste. In fact, to keep myself on track here, I have to set a little timer. I actually do this a lot because often I do my little 30 minutes of art time in the morning before work. And um, if I don't set a timer to make me stop working, I will just keep working and be late for work, be late for my job. So I often set a timer to keep me honest and keep me on track and get me out the door. And I'm going to do that for this video. I'm actually going to set it for 25 minutes. That way it'll go off and I'll know, oh, it's time to finish. So we'll just go ahead. We'll pop that here. So with these um, collages with sheet music, I've made a few already. As I said, I'm finding this really fun. Let's see if I can find the first one. I don't fill out my sketchbooks in order, so this was the first one I made, just exploring the paper. So I used some of the words and the music, and it's kind of love themed, so pink. And then I made some where I painted with watercolor and then drew on top with a dip pen, which was really fun. And for this one, I even tried doing a little decoupage, cutting out a cat silhouette and doing some drawing around it. And yeah, it's just really, really fun. So to get started, pretty much any page will do. I do sort of like to make use of sometimes of the words. And like right here, I just happened to flip to a page, Moonlight Memories, and that's making me think I can use lots of blues and purples. So I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to grab that page. And for a paper this small, one page is probably enough. All right, because I think I'm going to want to use some of the words, I'm just going to tear that out. Now, you certainly could use scissors. Um, that's totally fine if you want to use scissors. I really like the hand torn edges. If you're trying to be really precise, you can kind of wet the paper where you want to tear it with a paintbrush, and then it's easier to tear precisely. But you know what? I'm throwing caution to the wind here. All right, so I've got the words I will make use of. And then let's see, what kind of shapes do I want? I'm seeing the way this is torn that it almost looks like a kind of hill. I'm thinking I'm going to go with that and make some kind of mountainy silhouette here. And I'm really just kind of letting the paper tear. I'm not being too precise about it. This is too steep an angle. All right. So if I put, all right, I like this. And I mean, I sat down with nothing premeditated here. Anything you see is just what's my first impulse, whatever it is, I'm rolling with my first impulse. And that is something that creative coffee breaks teach us is that there's no time. So just no brain, just do it. All right. So I'm thinking I'm going to do some kind of layers of mountain. So I'm going to need some more sort of triangle-y shapes here. And just, I don't like this swoop. Sorry, I'm realizing you can't necessarily see what I'm doing. Try harder. Thinking. So I'm trying to just let the paper do its own thing, and I'm not being too prescriptive here. This paper is at once weirdly tough and fragile, I found. So it can take a lot of my abuse as I'm tearing it. When I tried to cut it, actually to cut out the cat in that one I showed you, it ripped so easily. Like I was using a quite sharp utility knife and the paper was just ripping. Okay. So there's my second layer. And now I'm gonna need something in. Okay. So I'm gonna take maybe a slightly different approach and just get some smaller pieces instead of trying to get the whole panorama at once. Yeah, that's okay. And I'll do maybe one more here. Our sort of foregroundy foothills. Yeah, that'll do. Okay. All right. So when I stick these down, I will then be able to start adding some color onto them to help um, create more depth between the layers. It's the joy of adding color here. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to take a picture just in case I get confused when I'm putting these back, and then just trying to keep them in order as I bring them down. We know this one goes first. When I'm using my glue stick or Mod Podge, honestly, with this Mod Podge would probably be better because again, this paper is like both tough and fragile. But I do not have time to waste finding my Mod Podge, and I knew exactly where my glue stick was. So I like to just put down like scrap paper. This is just a backing of an old sketchbook. All right. And we're gonna stick this down. Extra attention at the edges. And because this is a sketchbook, I can really get away with just using like just glue. You don't need anything special here. All right, and that's about where our second one goes. And, all right. I really like these kids glue sticks where when you put the glue down, it's purple, so you know where you got it. So handy. What will they think of next? And it dries clear. In case you've never seen these before, they do dry clear. All right. And our next one. And so, you have to work kind of fast, but it does help to not overthink things. I spend my whole life overthinking. Creative coffee breaks are a lovely retreat from that. Okay, and the last one's gonna go right about there. So I'm a landscape artist at heart. No matter what media I'm using, I seem to just want to make landscapes. And that title, Moonlight Memories, just has me picturing some mountains in the moonlight. But obviously, you can be a lot more abstract. Collages do not have to be, and they often are not, representative. All right, now I want this to be here somewhere. I'm thinking I'm just going to put it sideways right here. I don't want to get to the end and like realize I forgot it. One of the great things about these little pieces of paper, I was saying they are kind of fragile, like I found with a cat while I was trying to get the glue on it, it kept ripping. But it didn't really matter because I could just glue the different pieces down. That's fine. All right. I think that's all the gluing I need to do for now. And so let's get some color on here. I'm gonna use my water-soluble crayons because as I said, I think when I know that I'm short on time, um, I'm gonna add some water and move things around. Probably the first thing I actually want to do, called Moonlight Memories, I'm gonna need a moon. And I've got my little circle thing here, and this is a white Neocolor crayon that is not water soluble. So hopefully it's going to form a resist, but just to be sure, I'm going to put a pencil line. Um, this white crayon works pretty well as a wax resist for watercolor. I have no idea if it's going to work to resist other Neocolors. All right, I'm going to color it in pretty enthusiastically. All right. So I've got my moon over the mountains. I'm ready to go. Now I think I'm gonna want a pretty dark sky, and I'm gonna maybe do a little bit of layering up here. This is um, a Prussian blue, I think. Yeah, violet and a. This is called purple. It's not gonna look super purple, but I'm thinking at the horizon. Get a little color on there. And so I'm just coloring now. How soothing. I'll be interested to see how the neocolors do on top of this paper. Um, as I said, the watercolor did like so well on it. I really didn't know how it was going to be. But that, of course, is the beauty of playing around in a sketchbook. It's like pretty low stakes to experiment, and if it goes wrong, you haven't really lost anything because you've learned. So nothing is lost. All right. So obviously I have to go pretty dark with the sky or the moon's not really gonna pop. So in fact, I think I'm gonna go all the way with black at the top because when I move these around together, it's gonna blend down, I hope. As you can see, this paper is really textured. So the crayon is kind of sitting, um, it's not filling in the tooth of the paper. And I know I said I was going to add water at the end, but I think I'm going to add water to the sky right now in the hopes that it's going to dry. Okay, that's better. So my hope is that this will dry fast enough that maybe I can even add in some stars or something. Being a little careful around the moon, even though I made the resist. Um, I don't know, better safe than sorry. It's the watercolor artist habit to just save the white. I'm being a little careful around the edges of the mountain too. I've got to figure out how I'm gonna color those to make them show up. One of the things about these Neocolor crayons is like they will lift and reactivate and move just indefinitely, um, which falls in the category of good thing, bad thing. All right, I think I have to actually just go ahead and bring some of that blue right down onto my mountain. And well, this is interesting because, of course, as I bring the color down, it's raising it's kind of settling on the edges, which is cool. I like that. It's helping reveal the contours. So I'm gonna keep going with that. This is the other like real beautiful thing. I said before I should probably get the Mod Podge out. Um, but actually, I mean the glue stick is just instantly dry, which is what you want when you don't have a lot of time. Okay. All right, that's already getting pretty interesting. I want to just see if I can fix my moon edges here a little. Give the moon a little bit of a face, maybe. Right, so if I was using watercolor, moving this pigment back and forth would be like the single worst thing I could do. Lucky for me, this isn't watercolor. All right, leave the moon alone. I think I need to put some ground in here. And obviously the land would be pretty dark if the moon is out. So I'm actually gonna turn this around and I'm gonna just put down some black And actually I'm gonna wet it and bring it up into the mountain. And I think, yeah, I think where I color on this paper, it's gonna move like crazy because the paper is so smooth. But we'll see. I have not used I've not used neocolors on this paper before, so all right. So now let's just mush this around. Didn't mean to get it over here, but there we go. Quick enough to do some lifting. And this is like how you know I'm really a water media artist at heart, is that like give me any media and I just want to add water to it and mush it around. Um, the sketches I showed you earlier, the first ones I tried with this paper with the ink. I mean, here I am using a dip pen and ink, and the minute I had those lines down, I had to grab a brush and water and like activate that ink and mush it around. I just like it. All right. So I don't know how well this paper is gonna hold up to lots of wetting, but we'll find out. See if I can. So this is interesting, right? I put that white neocolor crayon on there, and it definitely, oh, you know what? It is resisting because if I rub with the tissue, yeah, I can get that crayon to lift. But I don't want to, I guess sometimes the moon does have a halo, so I can live with a bit of halo. All right. So far, finding this very, very interesting. Thinking, so now I'm using this neocolor and the paper is wet still, so that's why it's looking different. But what I'm thinking is I need to be able to bring this up more, almost like the mountain's gonna have kind of a lit up edge where the moon's hitting it, but the rest of it shouldn't be so pale. So I need to just darken that in. Whoop. Yeah. All right. Now let's get some more color on there. So the things closest to me are going to be darkest. That makes sense. Um, let's get a little bit, I'm going to put a little bit of the blue. Okay, the paper's still really wet down here. So just adding in some of that tone, and I'm gonna, soften and lighten as I go further back. A little bit more than that. Right, little moon glow. And I'm thinking mostly right now about just adding some variety as I go back so that the different peaks look distinct from one another. And here I want to really darken this further edge, like the light from the moon would be landing on one side, not on the other. And probably really darken where it's back behind. Okay. It really is kind of liberating to be able to just like swim these pigments around. As I said, you would not, this would be very bad technique if we were doing watercolor. Because with watercolor, what you want to do is lay the pigment down and let it do its own thing. But this kind of, it's a water soluble like wax crayon. It's not really going to do its own thing. Like you have to, you have to move it. Okay, let's see. I think I want to go a little purpley as I come back here. I'm going to leave this one the lightest because it's getting the most moonlight, but it's probably pretty dark where it's down there. And it would be, I suppose, a reasonable question to ask, like what does the collage paper add to this? And I mean, I don't know, I just like it. It just moves me. I don't have a better answer than that. Um, something about tearing up pieces of paper and putting them down, just it gives me a sense of freedom that I don't have all the time in my art making. And it just brings in a sort of playfulness that gets me thinking in different ways. I guess that's what it gives. Because here I am, I'm really covering up most of the paper. So, I mean, it would, it's a fair question, like, why bother? But why bother is to just think in new ways. All right. Kept the edges of that very nice. Okay. Little time check. Oh my gosh, where does the time go? My timer is about to go off, which means it's time to be thinking about finishing touches here. Um, so I'm rooting and digging through my art supplies for my metallic pens, which I have somewhere. Okay, I'm going to dig into my urban sketching kit here. My metallic pens, and silver pen, perfect. And I think, of course, what this needs is a little more sky. So I'm just going to, the sky is pretty dry, so I think I made the right decision to hurry up and get the sky covered. And it's probably not really showing up on the camera too much. But what I'm doing is I'm just adding little silver pinpricks. There goes my timer, so it's been 25 minutes. Adding just little silver stars in the sky. So they probably, I said, you probably can't really see it on the camera, but they show up nice in person. And I'm even going to do a little, just like a little outlining of some of these peaks where the moon might be illuminating, giving a magical moon glow. Okay. I think that's about it. It was really, really fun to experiment with this combination of media. All right, I said I'm done, and here I am. I'm not done. Let's see if we can give the moon some of that craggly moon texture. So I don't know how well the gel pen is gonna stick on top of wax. And it's not sticking very well, but it's actually really working because it's just giving some little texture to my moon. All right, I'm really done now. Um, so let me switch my camera back so I can talk to you and we'll wrap it up. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this little exploration and my random musings, and I hope you'll give it a try too. As I was saying, collage is a really great way to just loosen up, relax, lower the stakes a little bit, right? We're not making fine art, we're just having fun. We're playing around, using the materials we have lying around, and stretching our creative muscles. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, you can check out my other creative coffee break videos. I've tried to keep all of them really simple supplies, simple things that you can do in a really small amount of time. So check them out, and I'll be back soon.